Hello and welcome everybody to GFL Season 3, or season, I guess Off-Season 3, I guess you want to call it that, uh, podcast, GFL Talk Radio. I'm your host, Jim, as always, and I'm here with Jason. And we're about to get into a little bit of free agency throughout the podcast, but, the focus of this podcast will be the draft, and what's going to go down on Sunday morning. So, hey Jason, how you doing?
Doing well, doing well.
That's good to hear. Good to hear. So let's get right into it. I'm actually going to take this time to chew everybody out in the league, and we've just reminded you, if you're listening to this, please don't move an offensive player to defense. You know that's against the rules, and it really, really makes our job hard. Saying it nicely. So you guys, we have position change rules on Daddy Leagues. If you read the full rule set, and if you have any questions, PM a commissioner, and if it's not on there, it needs to be approved by the commissioner group. I am done nagging now for the podcast.
Yep. Yep. All right. Now that public service announcement is out of the way, let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah, let's get into the good stuff. Okay. I'm going to start with saying we are here to talk about mock drafts. Me and Jason are going to go over Rich and Ian's mock drafts because they were nice enough to make them for us. And we're also going to, pick our own little mock drafts here. I'm going to keep track of mine and Jason's picks, and we'll, kind of recap them at the end and, go through and, see how we feel and see how everybody else feels and tells us how wrong we are.
Yep. Because that's going to happen.
Oh, I'm sure it will. I am sure it will. So without further ado, we're going to get started. First thing I want to talk about is we have a new New York Jets owner, and he's a nice guy, and I had this pleasure of speaking with him. I don't know what the hell he's doing in free agency right now. He's literally taking, every player that I, let go that's over the age of 31 or 32 and trying to sign them.
Yep.
So, awesome. I don't know your actual name. I think it's Justin, if I remember correctly. If you're listening, bro, go for some younger players. Build that team up. You won one game last year. I don't see a bunch of 30-plus free agents getting you anywhere. But with that being said, the New York Jets have the number one pick in the draft, and they are in an interesting position. What do they do here? Clearly, they don't have a franchise quarterback, is the first thing I'm going to say. So, to me, I think this is a pretty easy pick. If it's me, I'm going to go with quarterback Shaquem Gordon out of the University of UCLA. Bruins.
I can see that.
So are we in agreement here on the first pick?
I'm 50-50 on this because I haven't had the pleasure of speaking to him yet, but from some of the front office moves that he has made, to me it looks like he values some type of veteran leadership, and I just have this feeling that he is going to stick it out with Petty.
Interesting.
I look at the rest of this roster, and he doesn't have too many offensive weapons, nor does he doesn't have a whole lot of youth on the defensive end, at least in the secondary. I look at his secondary, and I see Brandon Browner as a strong safety, Calvin Pryor. His number one corner is Buster Skrine.
It's going to be Jonathan Joseph after he signs.
So I've got this feeling that, and I'm almost kind of leaning towards where Ian was thinking. I think he's going to go corner here, and I look at the AFC East as far as from a wide receiver standpoint. There are some burners in that division, and I don't see his secondary being worth a damn to be able to to cover any of those guys on any of those teams. So that's kind of why I'm leaning towards corner.
He's a new user, but I'll give you insight. Playing in the AFC East, I routinely torch the corners on the Jets. Routinely.
Yes, so that's really what has me thinking corner over QB. But
So,
like I said, I'm kind of 50-50. I'm more like 55-45 on this because I very well could see the quarterback being kind of the fresh start, bringing the veteran guys in around the young QB, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of torn on this pick.
so the way that Ian and Rich went over this, ironically enough, was Ian has him taking cornerback Kier Parker, which is a bit of a surprise to me, considering some of the other corners are kind of more highly touted and probably a little bit better, physically.
Hmm.
Even though he's probably got pretty good acceleration. And if you go to Rich's mock draft, he's got him going where I've got him going, Shaquem Gordon, the quarterback.
Hmm. Yeah, and you know that what's crazy is I think this leads us right into pick number two. Um, and I know
So, so
Jimmy's
officially,
probably kind of sitting there biting his nails right now, figuring out what the Jets are going to do.
what is Jason going with at number one?
Officially, I'm because I have scouted a lot of the corners. I'm going to say Oscar Samuels.
Oscar
Um,
Samuels.
because
This is a man from Pittsburgh.
I think from a coverage standpoint, he is probably the best out of all of them.
Fair enough. I could agree with you there. That's why I was surprised he had him going Kier Parker. I felt like maybe there might be a corner or two who's better than Parker in this
Hmm.
draft. And for the number one pick, if you're going to take a defensive player, you want to get the best defensive player. And
Yeah,
I don't see
he,
outside of corner, I don't see any value at the number one pick for a defensive player.
yeah. I think from what I've seen, I think Parker is the number two corner in the draft, and a lot of that is from a sheer athleticism standpoint. He's not as polished as what Samuels is when it comes to coverage and press. Um, he's got the intangibles. Like he could get there, so he's got more upside. But I think it's going to take a season or two to get him there.
Yeah, I'd agree. I don't think he's as polished as Dominic Evans, who's probably a better man-to-man defender,
Hmm.
based on his, physical makeup, the way it looks. But, I would say probably personally I'd take Dominic Evans over Tierra Parker, but that's
Hmm.
the way I feel about it. Okay, so we went through past number one. That was good dialogue, and then we get into number two, like you said. What is Jimmy sitting there biting his nails about? Detroit Lions up.
Um, I think I think the Lions are sitting here hoping and praying that the Jets do not take Shaquem Gordon. That's who I have the Lions taking. Um, I think Ian kind of hit it on the
Ian
head
has
when
Ian has the Lions taking Shaquem Gordon as well, and Rich has them taking Oscar Samuels. So
and
they're in a great team to talk to.
yeah, I think Samuels, if something happens where the Jets either take Parker or take Evans, or they decide to go QB, and the Lions are sitting there at number two, I don't see them reaching and going after a quarterback at the number two spot, going because really Gordon is that much better than every other QB that's in the draft right now. I really think that he ends up going with one of the corners. Um, in my particular kind of order here, with Samuels being gone at number one to the Jets, I do think he takes Gordon. I think that's a lock. If Gordon is there, he's a Detroit Lion. Yeah, I think it's just that simple.
So you've got him taking quarterback Shaquem Gordon.
Yes.
Okay, well, ironically enough, I've got him taking Oscar Samuels out of Pitt. So
Which
we just flip flopped just like Rich and Ian did, ironically enough, on the draft. order there.
Yeah, and honestly, I think, especially for the Lions, I don't think it's doomsday if Gordon isn't there for him. I still think whether it's Samuels or whether it's Parker or like you said, Dominic Evans, a corner is still a good spot for them, or a good pick. It's somebody that they can pair with Darius Slay. But
I agree with
if
that.
if Shaquem Gordon is there, man, I don't see them passing on that.
Okay, and that leads us into the number 3 pick, which would be the Oakland Raiders. And I'm going to say, okay, in Ian's mock draft, he has Oscar Samuels going 3 to the Oakland Raiders, because remember he had Kier Parker going number 1. And in the mock draft by our buddy Rich, he has Dominic Evans going 3.
Hmm.
So there's some mixed opinions, obviously, between the mock drafters about where these corners kind of line up, which is interesting. Because normally there's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pecking order, but there's some different opinions, which is good. If I'm Oakland here, I don't think you have much of a choice. I think Oakland plays more zone, so I think you have to go with Kier Parker over Dominic Evans here.
Hmm.
Because I think he's probably going to end up being the better, guy in zone. Press corner, probably a little bit more on the physical side than Dominic Evans has to offer. So I'm going with Kier Parker here.
Yeah, I would
And
agree, and I think it's because Parker's probably the third best player at this point overall, and Dennis has made it very, very clear. I don't think he's steering us in kind of uh, off into a wild direction here. I think he's going corner, and he's probably going to take whoever the best available is, and I think Kier Parker is going to be the best available.
I agree with you there, 100%. So moving on, the Ravens in Ian's mock draft, who picked 4th, are taking Logan Kenny, the quarterback out of USC, and Ian has a little bit of insight into the Ravens' mindset, so I might put a little bit of stock into his pick, if you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Number 4 on Rich's mock draft, he has Kier Parker going. So, it's that whole thing with the corners and what corners going where, and ironically enough, that's 3 corners out of the first 4 picks on Rich's mock draft.
Yeah, and history shows us within GFL that corner is a high commodity. Um, but I know Ian has a lot of insight into the Ravens. I look at Joe Flacco, and I mean,
I think you can still win with him.
he still has talent. I mean, he still has a huge arm. His accuracy still isn't bad, at least compared to a lot of other starters in the league. I would say that he's at least in the middle of the pack as far as overall attributes go. Um, I look at the secondary of the Ravens, and both of their starting corners are 30 years old. When it comes to corners, once you kind of hit that 30, 31, 32 age, you start to see some kind of depreciation when it comes to overall athleticism. Um, Thankfully, the Ravens moved on from Kerry Williams, because I mean he essentially he earned the nickname Burnt Toast throughout the entire season, and I think Ced's probably very happy to have Kerry Williams not on his team anymore. Um, so I can see where Rich is coming from when he's got the Ravens going corner. I can kind of see where Ian's coming from as far as quarterback goes with his Logan Kenny pick. I think if it were me, just by looking at this squad, um, honestly, I gotta go corner with them, because
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here and I'm gonna tell you right now I would pick Dominic Evans, the corner from USC, and
absolutely,
that's what I
absolutely.
would pick.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Um, because I look at the offense, and even with a Joe Flacco, this team can win. I mean,
Absolutely.
they've got a young running back. I mean, he doesn't look like he's all that great, but he's got some good athleticism. Arian Foster is still kind of. I mean, I don't know about a 32-year-old Arian Foster.
Arian Foster doesn't have much in the tank. I'm going to tell you that from 2 years ago in
No,
Buffalo.
no. But looking at Brashad Perryman's going to be coming off of that season-ending injury. He's got Kenny Britt and Marlon Brown, who actually are pretty good and played pretty decent in the absence of Perryman. I don't know how much Jordy Nelson is going to have left going into the season being 33. So we'll see with that. Tight end wise, I mean his tight ends aren't bad either, and he's got a good offensive line. Even though Marshall Yanda did retire, he's got to fill that hole. But the
He's
guys
still got
left.
Calistio Stingley, who's an all-pro guard. I mean,
Exactly. And then Rick Wagner, who's also
good too as well.
one of the best pass blocking right tackles in the league. So I look at this offense. I don't necessarily think that his offense needs any boost into them. I really think it's the defense. His front seven is really good. I think he just needs an injection of youth in that back four there.
Okay. Well, I agree with you there 100%. So let's move on to the Rams. And the Rams in Rich's podcast, Rich's mock draft. Where is my head at? Is quarterback Zach Austin, and Ian has him going. Where did I lose Ian's mock draft? There we go. Ian has him going quarterback Zach Austin. That wasn't all too hard. So the two of them agree there. This is tough. Well, first, if you don't know this already, unfortunately our Rams guy had some personal issues and he had to step aside. So we don't currently have a Rams owner. I'm working on rectifying that, hopefully before the draft, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't make any promises. So without there being an owner, I would say, this is going to be a complete rebuilding process, with the Rams right now. Obviously, they lost Aaron Donald. They lost a couple of good players. Nick Foles, their quarterback, is a free agent right now. So if we're going in that direction, I'd say you get the piece to start. And you got to go with quarterback Zach Austin.
Yep. Yeah,
I don't think there's another pick there.
The way that roster is sitting right now, I think it's definitely going to be a quarterback. Just by looking at the rest of that squad, I mean, even with losing Aaron Donald and Trey Mason, I mean they still have Todd Gurley, so it's not as if Trey Mason is going to be this huge loss to them. Granted, they are going to have to replace Greg Robinson. They do have a couple.
Loss.
It's a loss, but I look at the rest of the linemen. They've got some young linemen. The previous Rams owner actually drafted pretty well. He's got a Zach Gordon, Denario Cole aren't bad. Now they're no Greg Robinson, but they're still good enough to be starters. So, I don't think offensive line is going to be a huge issue with them. I really think it comes down to that quarterback spot. I mean, I think it's pretty simple.
Yes, it is. It is. So we're both in agreement there, I would
Yeah.
believe. Okay, so that moves us on. That moves us on to the New York Giants, who seem to always somehow get up into like the top 10. I don't know how he does it. I don't know. I guess I'm cheap because I would never ever. I'm usually the guy getting out of the top 10, not doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's up there at number 6, and Ian has him taking DeMarcus Bailey, who's a defensive tackle. Probably not his biggest need. I mean, I'm sure it would be a great help if he hits DeMarcus Bailey and DeMarcus Bailey on Rich's mock draft. So they're pretty, they're pretty steadfast there. I look at it a little bit differently. I see the New York Giants either going Pete Poteet or Max Hill. I think offensive line is where they want to go. I think they want to dominate up front.
Hmm.
And the way that they run the football with a guy like Niall Davis, anything you can get as far as extra offensive linemen makes sense. And the value at the top of the draft for tackles is pretty good because the other positions are being taken. So I would say probably go with Max Hill, the left tackle out of Michigan State on my side.
Okay.
So
You
that's the
know,
first big departure from what everybody else was thinking.
I could I could see that. The one thing that I think is gonna kind of throw a loop here is if some of these teams ahead of us, or ahead of the Giants, I should say, if they kind of go off on their own kind of separate route here and kind of throw some loops for everybody, if one of those top corners are available, I can see the Giants hitting a corner. I could
Oh,
also,
easily. I 100% agree with you there. I'm just looking at the draft board as it is left.
yeah, I think from an offensive line standpoint, I'm not too impressed with a lot of the offensive linemen. So I think what's going to happen, I think the Giants are going to reach here. And reach, I say that based upon, like a Madden projection and some of the mocks that we have here. But I think they are actually going to go out, and I think they are going to draft a corner, and I think they're going to get Taylor Hunter.
Okay, so Taylor Hunter, the cornerback. Not sure that he has a first round grade, so it's definitely a reach, in my opinion.
It is a reach, but I think he has a lot of good intangibles. Um, it's I look at the secondary and Landon Collins is the best player. Um, Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie is he's 32 years old and he's starting to lose a little bit in the tank there. He's lost some of his athleticism, so I just don't know when it comes to being able to guard some of those receivers in the NFC. I just don't see a whole lot of the corners there being able to do it. They just don't have a lot of athleticism.
Fair enough. I get where you're coming from. So let's move on to the Falcons. Ian has the Falcons taking Adivan Hankerson, the defensive tackle from University of Louisiana Monroe, and our friend Rich has the Falcons taking Logan Kenny, the quarterback. The way I've heard the Falcons talk about quarterbacks, I'm not so sure that that's the pick, Logan Kenny. Um, Falcons like their linebackers. Um,
Hmm.
and this might surprise you, and it might surprise some people. I think Chris Doyle is probably the best linebacker in this draft. Even though he gets, I don't know where he's is as far as the overall scale, but best linebacker at the combine by far.
Hmm.
So if it's me, if I'm picking for Atlanta, I'm going to go with a linebacker here, and I'm going to go Chris Doyle, the middle linebacker out of the University of Wisconsin.
You know, I tend to want to agree with you on that because I know how much Chris hates Matt Ryan, um, but
I
you
think he
can't.
loves Sean Rittenberry just as much.
Yeah, he loathes both of his quarterbacks, but he can win with those guys, which is the crazy thing. I look at the linebacking core, and I really want to agree with you. I don't necessarily think that quarterback is his biggest issue, even though I know he's shopping Matt Ryan. I don't think defensive tackle is his really anywhere along the defensive line because he's got two great pass rushers on both ends. Um, I really do think that linebacker is probably his weakest link on his entire team. So yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go Chris Doyle as well. Um, he got Lawrence Timmons last year, who ended up getting hurt and missed quite a bit of time. But he's also 32 years old. You don't know how much more he's got left.
Agreed. Agreed. I think that's a pretty slam dunk pick at that point,
Yeah.
Chris Doyle. He's probably the better intangible guy. I'm not so sure. He lit up the combine. He's not the fastest guy, but everything else he did really well.
Hmm.
So you can deal with that as long as your linebacker has serviceable speed. Okay, so moving on, we're going to go to Ian's mock draft for the Steelers, and ironically enough, he has the Steelers taking a corner that, in my opinion, is not going to be there at 8. I think that's wishful thinking in your mock draft, Ian. Um, and Rich has him taking middle linebacker Chris Doyle, who is obviously already off the board.
Yeah.
With all the corners off the board, and in this situation, I think Ian picks quarterback Logan Kenny. And here's the reasoning. You can pick the quarterback. Ben very possibly could retire, this next offseason. And you've already got your quarterback, and you'll still have picks.
Hmm.
He also could choose to, I believe he has the 25th pick now, which is not reflected in his mock draft. Um, but he has the 25th pick, so that also could be an idea there. So I'd probably hold off on Logan Kenny, and without there being, a corner, in my opinion, that's worth taking in the first round because somebody's already reached on, may have possibly already reached on Taylor Hunter on your side. I'm not reaching on Taylor Hunter. Um, it makes it a tough decision because he runs that 34 defense.
Hmm.
But I think that he goes Dwayne Pruitt, the wide receiver out of the University of Miami, to replace the production he lost when he traded Martavius Bryant.
I could I could see that. I think at this point, as far as like from what I have, a best available more than likely is DeMarcus Bailey. Um, I don't think he's going to go defensive tackle. I'm going to go out on a limb again and kind of where I have my mock at. I think he's going to pull an Al Davis on us, and I think he's gonna draft for speed, and I think he's going to draft the cornerback out of Alabama. I think he's going to go Jerron Jordan, and I I say that because I don't think he's got much of a choice. Looking at the four cornerbacks that are on his roster, honestly, they're slow. They are slow. I don't I don't foresee a kid Aqib Talib being able to really guard anybody at this point at the age of
More of a safety
32.
at this point in his career.
Yeah, he's more of a safety. But looking at his two starters, Denoris Cersei and Brock Vereen, he's not going to beat those guys out. Um, so I could see Talib being honestly cut sometime in the preseason. Um, so I think at this point, uh, I don't think Pittsburgh has much of a choice. I think they have to go corner, and they're stuck with what's left and what's available. Whether that is going to be Jerron Jordan or um, Taylor Hunter, one of the two, whoever's there. I
Jalen Falk or maybe Donald Chiselholm possibly, or could be in the conversation as well.
Yeah, I think they'll. I think Ian's going to go ahead and get the fastest, most athletic corner in the draft, and I want to go Jerron Jordan there.
Which brings us up to the Eagles, and in the one man's opinion mock draft by Rich, he has them going with quarterback Case Roseman, and Ian's got him going safety Jimmy Marmosa. Who picks the safety in the top 10 these days? That's a good question because I got a pretty damn good one in the third round last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Man, I I could see Ian's reasoning around why the Eagles would go free safety. I just I don't foresee Lando putting a whole lot of stock into Matt Stafford being the starter. I think at this point Matt Stafford's more of a valuable backup because I think he kind of learned his lesson with older veteran quarterbacks. Because at this moment, right now, he has no quarterback on his roster, with the departure of Drew Brees, who sailed off into the sunset.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna go uh, with Rich with his pick. I think Case Roseman is gonna be the guy. And I don't think Landon's got much of a choice there. I think he's got to go quarterback because he doesn't have anything.
I like Logan Kenny out of USC more for him, so that's who I'm going with. Um, but I think we're both on the same page as far as he needs a quarterback.
Yeah, whether I guess for me, no matter who it is, whether it's Logan Kenny or Case Roseman, yeah, he's going quarterback. Hell, he could even go Zach Austin if he's there, and the Rams don't take that quarterback.
If
Um,
Zach Austin's there, though, that could very. I could see Chris actually making a consideration of taking that kid. So
mhm.
that could kind of screw up the whole thing. But
Yeah, yeah.
uh, that's the fun of the draft. We're moving on to the Cleveland Browns, who have back-to-back picks at pick 10 and pick 11, which is no, he doesn't do trades much, but I'm kind of surprised he didn't move back from one of these picks. I guess the negotiations were too much for you, Ro.
Yeah,
So
having those back-to-back picks, I mean, talk about a disappointing year for the Browns. They he built that team up, won the AFC North, and then only to kind of have his team just kind of give him the finger all through season three. But I think he's due for a bounce back year. I think he's going to have a solid year. Um,
I agree. I'm gonna pop in here and I'm gonna share what Ian and Rich have him taking. Ian, you are a nuts man. Another safety in the top 10. Another one, Ricky Skinner out of Florida. First of all, I hate the Gators, as all of you should know by now. I am a Seminole, Garnet and Gold. Okay, uh, so another top 10 safety. I have a really hard time with that one. And Rich has him taking a right tackle, Javon Austin, at the 10th pick, and I have a hard time drafting a right tackle in the top 10 too. So I don't know where you guys were on that one, but we're a little scatter shot there. Uh, I think Roll has some interesting needs. Uh, I kind of agree with something that Ian says about his next pick, and looking at it, that 34 defense, I'd probably roll in with Normando Russell at the middle linebacker position because, like Ian said, both of his linebackers are 30 plus.
yeah, yeah, I would agree. I think that's definitely where he's going with that very first pick.
Clearly, if Crystal is on the board, he would prefer him.
Yes, oh, absolutely, absolutely.
But I don't see it happening. So I would say he goes Normando Russell, no linebacker from the University of Oklahoma. Only gay guys go to Oklahoma. Sorry, don't mean to offend any of you if you're actually from Oklahoma, but we had. Uh, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah,
So you agree with the Russell pick?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so that leaves the Browns up again. And in Ian's mock draft, Chris Doyle is going there, and we just addressed my linebacker. And in Rich's mock draft, he's got him going Quidal Sanford, who is a left end, who is not even on my radar. Quider Sanford. I'm pretty sure you can do a lot better at 11 than that. Even if it is a need, it's one of those things where I feel like you can get those guys in the second round.
Hmm.
So if I'm roll here, I'm probably trying to draft the best player on the board. And the way I'm looking at it is I'd probably go outside linebacker. I'd say I'd go Dylan Gray from the University of Wisconsin. I think that's probably the best defensive player he can get
Hmm.
at this point. That fits his scheme, fits what he wants to do, and has the physical intangibles in order to get it done. So Dylan Gray from the University of Wisconsin, and a lot of Badgers are getting drafted.
Yes, this is definitely a Wisconsin heavy draft. Um, I'm going to go outside of the box here, and I think this is kind of a crazy pick, and this is probably going to piss off the Buccaneers because I know they really wanted to get a receiver. I think that he ends up roll here with the 11th pick. I think he gets Dwayne Pruitt from Miami, and I say that because right now, currently, his slot receiver is Brian Hartline.
Yeah, and being a Miami Dolphins fan, I know that that's not a recipe for success.
Exactly, and I think he goes Pruitt because ha, a lot of the league's a passing league, and his tight ends aren't bad, but they're not the greatest pass catchers. And he's already got Josh Gordon and Marquise Jeffrey. Jeffrey's a blazer out on that left side, but I think by being able to go into more three wide sets is going to open the field up for his running back, that Margarito Coleman, and I think it's going to be able to open his running game a little bit more. So I'm going to go with the receiver out of Miami. I think that's going to make his offense very potent. I mean, you can never have too many weapons when it comes to receivers.
Well, speaking of which, up next are those pissed off Bucks.
Yes, here they are.
In the one-man opinion mock draft, Dwayne Pruitt, the wide receiver, goes there from Rich. And in Ian's mock draft, Ian has Dwayne Pruitt, wide receiver.
Which
So clearly, that would be a good pick. I think, Torrey Smith's getting up there in age, and I think you can use this guy as a third receiver for right now. And when it's time to put Torrey Smith out, Pruitt will step in. Pair him with Mike Evans. It's great.
hmm Yeah, I can see that now. I
But we don't
guess
have that option.
yes. And when it comes to where I've got him going, um, I, I think he's going to end up going best available, which at this point I think is going to be defensive tackle DeMarcus Bailey. Um, I I don't think any of the other receivers are worthy enough to reach here at number 12, but having a projected top 10 defensive player kind of land kind of in your lap at that point.
Want to guess where
Um,
DeMarcus Bailey went to college?
he went to Wisconsin.
Yes, he did.
Um, you know, he's probably one of the stronger defensive linemen in the entire draft. And just by looking at
39 reps is a lot.
yeah, Gerald McCoy, he is still a Pro Bowler, but he is 30. Henry Milton is 31, and he's already on the backslide of his career. He's lost a lot of strength, um, and has lost a lot in the running game. And I think by being able to get kind of a youth injection into that defensive line, because let's be honest, when the Bucks had success, they were getting to the quarterback, and they weren't really able to get to the quarterback that much this past season. And I think that had a lot to do with their secondary being exposed a little bit.
Well, speaking of their secondary being exposed a little bit, I have them taking cornerback Taylor Hunter and reaching hardcore for a corner. And it's nothing against them or anything like that, but yeah, I've already let you guys know how I feel about reaching for corners. Um,
Yeah.
Okay, so we come to the interesting part of the mock draft. Each of these mock drafts has this 13th pick as Buffalo's 13th pick. Buffalo does not own that 13th pick anymore. Buffalo has traded that 13th pick to the Minnesota Vikings, and I just got a PM. It's official now. The trade's gone through. It's in game done. Martavius Bryant is a Buffalo Bill now, and the 13th pick now belongs to the Minnesota Vikings, who are recouping the picks they gave the Pittsburgh Steelers for Martavius Bryant in the first place. But if we go over the mock draft, they have me taking Normando Russell out of Oklahoma. Let's just say if you look at my linebacking core, even if I had that 13th pick, I wouldn't be drafting a linebacker because that's my linebacking core is pretty steady now. And Rich has taken a halfback in the first round, which would never happen. Love you guys, but that's never going to happen. How many times did I run the football last year?
There you go.
Anyway, so now that this is the Vikings pick, and the Vikings are in a position of, they're not going to get Dwayne Pruitt, so they went and replaced him. I saw Matt Khalil out in free agency, so I think that you have an obligation to go Pete Poteet here at the left tackle.
Well, they do have Taylor Lewin as that left tackle. Now, the right side, they can interchange those guys. The right side, they have last year's draft pick, Cole Sam, who's decent. But, yeah, I agree. I think they got to go offensive line here. This is a team that doesn't have very many holes. So, yeah, I think offensive line is probably going to be their best option here. It could be Javon Austin, or it could also be Seth Barnett. I guess it depends on which one of those guys is there.
Well, they're both there right now.
Yeah, according to our mock here, yeah, they're both there. I'm gonna go with Javon Austin. I think he'll be there when they pick. I think he fills a need. I think that's probably gonna be the route they go.
Okay, Javon Austin out of the University of Central Los Angeles, UCLA. He is a right tackle.
Yep.
Okay. I think we both had the same idea there. All right. So now that the Vikings have picked 13th, we have the Colts coming up. And the Colts had a bunch of picks, but I think they kind of traded around and have pretty much moved on from most of them. I think really that was done in panic of a cap situation with Andrew Luck. So they kind of had to get those pieces back. At 14, the one-man opinion draft from Rich has them taking right tackle Seth Barnett. What is up with running backs, safeties, and right tackles in the top of the draft? And our buddy Ian has him taking a guard. Who the hell drafts a guard in the top 15 unless he's a stud?
Chicago Bears did. Kyle Long.
Yeah, well, he was a stud and now he's a tackle, so that makes my argument.
Yeah,
LaMarcus Ian's got him taking. They could use a boost at guard, I'm sure. 33 reps is nice, but definitely not a sexy pick, Ian. Definitely not a sexy pick. If I'm the Colts, I understand where we're going here. And I need to protect my quarterback, and I'm going to get the big mauling tackle, Ricky Lawson, at Oklahoma. That's where I'm going. Can easily move him inside. He's strong enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I pick Ricky Lawson out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, I could see that. Let's see. I'm just looking over his roster. I know he
has Costanzo, but Costanzo, what's he, about 30 years old now?
Well, Costanzo, he's 30. Now, keep in mind, they also Cody went and made a deal and got Jared Veldheer. So Veldheer's 31, but he's still he's still a top notch. Actually, him and Costanzo both are top notch blockers on both facets of the game. Um,
Yeah, I see Ricky Lawson being. I can easily see him being moved inside. He's just a strong player, So you can always improve, but you want interior strength. So if you put
mhm.
40 reps, you move him to guard easy.
Yeah, I I think I'm gonna agree with Ian. I think LaMarcus Orr is a good pick for them, but I think Lawson could also be a good pick as well. Um, Really, I think it comes down to solidifying that left guard position because he's got John Asamoah uh, at right guard currently. Now he could flip him around. Asamoah's not the greatest in run blocking, but one of those spots, uh, whether that's left guard or right guard, is probably going to be. I think they're going to be taken at this particular spot, whether that is LaMarcus or one of the stronger left or stronger types of offensive tackles. One of them is going to go there.
Interesting. So we've got Lawson and Orr. I picked Lawson. You picked Orr. So we've got the Miami Dolphins coming up. They're kind of in a lot of. They have a lot of needs, in my opinion. Um,
Hmm.
Gage can be not so attentive during off-season time. Uh, Not even know that the off-season goes on sometimes. Like he's a
He's
very
probably
nice guy. I talk to him a bunch when I play him because I play him twice a year. Fun guy to play, because he's gotten used to our style and that type of stuff. But uh, he's kind of in a lack of a better way of saying it, real shit position right now. He could go a number of ways. Ian has him going Taylor Hunter, the corner out of UCLA, which we've both already taken off the board. Rich has him going wide receiver Thomas Dansby. I don't see a wide receiver other than Dwayne Pruitt being worth a first round pick.
yeah.
Uh, so with that being said, going to our best available and trying to project what he could possibly do. He also lost a guard, so I'm going to take LaMarcus Orr, the Miami guard for the Dolphins. Miami connection, first of
Hmm.
all. Second of all, he just lost Billy Turner and Juwan James, who are both of his guards. So the need is absolutely there.
Yeah.
So that's where I see him going. Even though like Ian said, it's not a sexy pick, but at this point he needs an interior blocker for Lamar Miller because we know that's where his bread's buttered.
Yeah. I can see that. Um, I think I think at this point Gage has got so many holes on his team that I think he's going to end up just going best available. And right now, I've got a Davian Hankerson, the defensive tackle out of UL Monroe. He's a big Louisiana guy, so I think he'll have a little bit of ties locally to him. I think he
I agree
goes.
with you there. The one thing I will say is that's where a lot of your cap is taken up with Ndamukong Suh, and we've got a lot of money tied up. So if I were him and I'm the Dolphins GM, there's no chance that I'm going to be drafting a defensive tackle in this draft.
And I'll go the other argument with that, and I think that this is probably Ndamukong Suh's last year in Miami, being 31 years old. I think that at some point, Hankerson is going to be the replacement at the number one defensive tackle spot. Plus, to my knowledge, he runs a 4-3. Um, so right now, he only has two defensive tackles and four total defensive linemen on his roster. So I think, like I said, he's got a lot of holes on his team. Brian Dixon is the number two defensive tackle at the moment, and he really isn't a whole lot. So I mean, I'm just going with best available here, and that's Hankerson. And I think that's probably what he's going to eventually go to, just
Fair enough.
because every other position that he could fill, I think would be too big of a reach at this point, where he can get the same caliber of player in the second round.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Just give me a moment. Making sure. Not missing anything here. Good. Okay, we are on at the halfway point of the mock draft, and we are at the San Francisco. I only eat plants. I'm a vegan, and I only use my scheme. So, first things first. If it's not a hybrid defensive scheme, I'm not going to draft him for him. Or if it's not a West Coast offense, he's not getting drafted. Okay, so
Hmm.
we got to go down the list here. So based on what he's doing, uh, I don't see. I'm sure he could use linebackers, but I don't see them there for him. I don't see corners or safeties there for him at all. Um, he's going after Trey Mason and Cody Latimer, about to pay them like they're superstars.
Yep.
Um, so if you're going through and you're looking, there's no real logical pick here for Rayo. But let's see.
Yeah, he's probably one of the toughest to
Honestly, just
predict here.
team player, I see him taking Kadir Sanford, the defensive end, out of Florida. Hybrid defense. That's his deal. So that's what I'm mocking for him is Kadir Sanford.
I looking at his team, I want to say that he's gonna go with. I'm just gonna go out there, man. I think he's gonna go Ricky Skinner. I think he's gonna surprise some people, and I say Skinner because I look at his starting strong safety now. He's not that great. We all know Ramari likes to use her the strong safety. I think he's gonna go with Skinner, so that way he's got this young uh, first round pick that he's gonna be solely responsible of, uh, and try to make into a stud. So that's what I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the strong safety Skinner.
Bro, he'll probably take Dulon Jameson because he's a hybrid defense player, even though he's a seventh round projected.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Like I said, man, he's gonna be
Portion of the conversation, so we're good.
yeah, he's the toughest to judge at this point. I think tougher than anybody, when it comes to trying to figure out what route they're gonna go.
Fair, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think he's a wild card. So
Hmm.
we're at the halfway point of the draft. So I'm going to actually stop and I'm going to recap the draft thus far. So the Jets picked first, and I had them taking Shaquem Gordon, the quarterback out of UCLA. You had them taking Oscar Samuels, cornerback out of Pitt. Lions picked second. I have them taking Oscar Samuels out of Pitt. You have them taking Shaquem Gordon. Um, Raiders pick third. I have them taking Kiera Parker. You have them taking Kiera Parker, the corner out of Texas A&M. Fifth, I have Dominic Evans, the corner out of USC, going, as do you. Sixth, Rams, Zach Austin, quarterback out of Georgia. We both agree there. Seven, I have Rich taking the Giants, taking Max Hill, the left tackle out of Michigan State. You have him taking Taylor Hunter, the cornerback out of UCLA. We both have the Falcons taking Chris Doyle, the middle linebacker out of Wisconsin. I have the Steelers taking Dwayne Pruitt, the wide receiver out of Miami. You have them taking Jerron Jordan, the corner out of Alabama. Fuck Alabama.
Yes.
Eagles, I have them taking quarterback Logan Kenny out of USC. You have them taking quarterback Case Roseman out of Oklahoma. Browns, we both have them taking Normanlo Russell, the middle linebacker. Why can't you ever name this pronounceable? Uh, Dylan Gray, the linebacker for the second pick out of the Browns on my side. You have them taking Dwayne Pruitt, the wide receiver from Miami. Buccaneers, who are upset that Dwayne Pruitt's not there, they take Taylor Hunter on my side, the cornerback out of UCLA. You have them taking DeMarcus Bailey, the defensive tackle. Vikings pick from Bills. I have them taking Pete Poteet, the left tackle out of USC. You have them taking Javon Austin, the right tackle out of USC. Colts, I have them taking Ricky Lawson, left tackle out of Oklahoma, and you have them taking LaMarcus Orr, the right guard out of Georgia. Dolphins, I have them taking LaMarcus Orr, the right guard out of Georgia, and you have them taking Evan Hankerson, another name, of course, that I can't pronounce. comes another one. Quidar Sanford for the 49ers, and you have them going with Keith Skinner, the strong safety out of Florida. Both Sanford and Skinner are University of Florida players. Okay, so that was our quick recap. So moving on. The first of two picks that Moji has, the Green Bay Packers. And our friend Ian has them taking Turner McClendon, who's the left end, who he says is a standout in a weak defensive end class, and Jerron Jordan is on Rich's, which we both, I believe, or maybe I haven't taken him off the board yet, but I'm damn close to doing it. So on that note, I think we're right there, cornerback. Jerron Jordan, even though Moji made a trade earlier this offseason to get a corner from the Patriots, I can still see him going corner because he traded Casey Hayward or Sam Shields, one of the two of them, whichever one of them is still on the team, to Cobra and the Bengals, which I honestly was shocked that the two of them could do a deal. I didn't know they talked.
Yeah, exactly. I think after the deal with the Patriots bringing in, and I'm trying to get this updated here to see who exactly that corner was. I know that corner was a burner, was young and fast, and with the recent trade of Clay Matthews, I think that some way somehow he's going to go linebacker. But at this point, I have all of the top middle linebackers off the board, except Anthony Finley, who's projected to be a late first round pick. So I think I'm going to go with what Ian has. I think he's going to go with Turner McClendon, the left end, to kind of help get some youth into that front line, and then I think he'll go middle linebacker or outside linebacker later on in the first round with his second first round pick.
Fair enough. That was a good. Eagles are back up on the board. We both had the Eagles the first time around going quarterback.
Yep.
So where do they go here? I think with the holes that they left defensively, and this is, I'm talking 3 years ago, so it's been a little bit of time, but I think the holes they left defensively when they traded for Drew Brees are going to start to be rectified again. I think they take Anthony Finley out of Nebraska.
I can see that. I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go corner here. I think I'm going to have them take Donald Chisholm out of Pitt. And I say that because last offseason they went out and they got Sam Shields, they got Jason McCourty, but then he let McCourty go in free agency. He didn't re-sign him after he made that trade, and then he traded Byron Maxwell. Yeah, so at this point Lando's only got two corners on his roster right now. One of them is a 30-year-old Sam Shields. Now Sam Shields is still he's a top half corner. He hasn't really lost a whole lot just yet.
$1 million for Aaron Donald.
Yeah. So I think at this point he goes corner. I think he reaches a little bit just by sheer necessity. So I'm going to go with Chisholm.
I can see that. I just think with Kiko Alonso, I think he's trying to pair a linebacker with Alonso long term.
Mm-hmm.
Kendrick's getting to that age, around that 30-year-old age, where linebackers kind of start to fall off.
That is true.
So, back up, number 19, the Vikings. They now have their second pick of this draft. And
I think this is where
both went kind of different here, but we went tackle.
I think this is where because earlier I believe, let me see here. I think somebody had them taking a receiver. No, halfback.
Yep.
Um, I don't I don't see that. I don't believe that. I think McKinnon and Duke Johnson. I think they're fine. I think that's a good duo. I uh, I agree with what you said earlier. I think at this point, best available and kind of looking at needs. There's not too many holes in the Vikings team, but now that Martavius Bryant is gone, I do think that they end up going receiver here, and I think they're going to go with Kevin Travis.
Kevin Travis. I can't even find him on my scouting list. No, Kevin Travis. He's going to be the first surprise pick of the draft if that's the case.
I I kind of I'm agreeing with some of what Ian says because he's big. I think that fits kind of the mold of a type of Vikings receiver. Um, Being 6'4", can kind of go down the field and just jump up in the air and catch that lob ball. He's essentially kind of a poor man's version of Martavis Bryant.
Fair enough. I mean, to use a first round pick on a poor man's version of Martavius Bryant and have traded Martavius Bryant doesn't really make too much sense. I'm not going
Yo,
I am not going to complain one bit. Um, I see the first defensive tackle coming off of my board. I see DeMarcus Bailey coming off the board here on mine. And it is a real simple pick. I think Linval Joseph's towards the end, and Sharif Floyd could be a free agent at the end of this year. So
hmm
I think that's an easy pick. I think he keeps that front going, and I think it helps against those offenses. The Green Bays and Bears offense ain't too bad themselves, huh?
no, we're okay.
Yeah. So moving on from the Vikings, who, by the way, Ian had halfback Darren Riley. That would be the highest the Vikings have drafted a running back since Adrian Peterson. Um,
hmm
I'm sorry, I said Ian had that. Rich had that. Ian had Antoine Green, which once again, I am closing the page for the record, Ian. San Diego Superchargers. Go, 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 Superchargers. They have him taking. Ian has him taking a wide receiver. I don't believe that for a second.
No.
Don't believe it for a
Well,
second.
yeah,
And Rich taking a
I'm
defense,
torn.
which is something else. He's a 34 line. I don't see happening.
I guess I'm torn here, because I look at the roster and at least from a wide receiver standpoint, Keenan Allen is a good number one. Nate Phelps isn't bad as the number two. Neither one of those guys really stretch the field. They're more good route runners, and kind of good short to mid range types of guys that can go over the middle and catch the ball. They don't really have that vertical threat. Um, so I think I think they will go wide receiver here, and I'm going to go with Thomas Dansby. I think he's one of the top
Which receiver?
receivers. Thomas Dansby.
Thomas Dansby. Out of? Let's
Hell, I
find
don't
out.
know.
Good question. Good question. Let's see. What do we got here? Thomas Dansby out of the University of Georgia. Okay. I am a cynic. And I love you, Michael, but I can see him doing something like this. I have him drafting tight end Philip Rowland out of the University of Georgia.
I could see that.
Fastest vertical threat tight end in the draft. Strongest one at that, too. And he is another Georgia Bulldog. We love pitting teammates against one another, if you've noticed that.
Yep.
Okay, so the Colts are up again. And actually, no, the Colts are not up. That is a scratch. This is now the Lions' pick. The Lions are up. Okay, so we're going to, read the Colts. We're taking Keenan Scott in Rich's one-man opinion. And Ian has the Lions taking Chisholm, which I actually agree with. I think that he goes Samuels and Chisholm in this draft.
Okay.
I think that he doubles down on corners in this draft.
I could see that. I think after season one, he really, as far as a running game goes, he missed having a good run stuffing defensive tackle. So I'm gonna go with Rayshon Dickerson, um, just because looking at the defensive tackles that the Lions have right now, he doesn't really have a whole lot. He's got some good rush ends, but no one that can get off a block and really kind of stuff that A and B gap. So I'm gonna go with Rayshon Dickerson. I think that's where Detroit's gonna go.
He is a defensive tackle out of the University of Florida, 36 reps. I think he fits as an end. He's not a nose tackle in that three-man front.
Well, at least from what I remember, he runs a 4-3. Um, Now this could all be predicated upon if whether or not he gets Aaron Donald. We know that he's kind of in the running right now and has offered him a contract.
Well, last time I talked to him, because I've talked to him about specific players. I needed a weak side linebacker, so we talked about Tahir Whitehead, who's currently a middle linebacker, so he's set up to be a 34 player, which is why
Okay.
I assume that, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
maybe he's playing some hybrid, but last time I checked, he was in the 34, so, we got scheme confusion here.
Never
So
know.
Jim, would like to, you can please declare what scheme you're actually running so that we know what we're talking about. Anyway, moving on from the Lions, we're up to the Cowboys now. And Ian has them taking DeJoshua Pendleton. How many corners are going to go in this draft in the first round?
Almost all of them. Almost all of them.
DeJoshua Pendleton leaves great value somewhere else. And the Cowboys in the one-man mock draft are going quarterback Nathan Beasley. I agree with that. I think that as far as on my board, the best quarterback left is Case Roseman. So I would have the Cowboys going Case Roseman.
I think from looking at this roster, uh, you know, I'm not sure what type of scheme they run. Whether I mean it says 4-3, but I don't know if he's going to be running a 4-3 or not, or if he's going to move to a 3-4. I mean, he did put Demarcus
He doesn't
Lawrence at
have the
defensive
personnel
tackle.
to run the 34 defense. He's got Greg Hardy, and you can't really do much with Greg Hardy standing up. So I think he's stuck into that Dallas 4-3 defense.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, but I mean, I guess it comes down to if he thinks Rolando McClain and Sean Lee are still viable uh, players for him. So I'm going to go on a limb. I think he's going to go middle linebacker. I think he's going to go with Anthony Finley.
All right. Now, okay. So who did you go with? I was reading.
Anthony Finley, middle linebacker out of Nebraska.
All right, Anthony Finley. Middle linebacker, Nebraska. So, we come up to Dangling. So,
Mr. Dangles.
so who's going to dangle themselves into a Chiefs uniform? According to
Pull up here.
according to the one-man opinion draft, Turner McClendon, which I actually like that pick. And according to the other pick, we've got Javon Austin, the right tackle, but I see him going hard after Greg Robinson right now. So I'm not so sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah, I really think that he's going to make a huge push for Robinson. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to probably say, I shouldn't say probably say, but I won't almost guarantee that Greg Robinson is probably going to be a Chief. Um, so I think that eliminates that position of need for him. Um, I think he's good at wide receiver, at least for a couple of spots. Obviously, he's got Travis Kelsey, he's got his quarterback, he's got his halfbacks. Um, yeah, I mean, I think his defensive line is not that solid anymore. Um,
Did just get Terrence Knighton.
ooh,
Pot roast. Yep.
man, he got some pot roast, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, that
So
man,
I,
so
I have
he
McClendon to put pot roast, McClendon, DeVito, and Dontari Poe into a kind of a 3-man or 4-man rotation for 3 spots. And Mike
he
DeVito's
doesn't
on.
have Poe.
Hmm?
Poe is a Bronco.
He traded Dontari Poe. Well, it makes even more sense now. I don't know why you would
Yeah,
do
he
that.
he traded he traded Poe a while ago for Brandon Marshall.
Well, he values his linebackers clearly.
Yes. So yeah, I think I, I think I would agree with you. I think Turner McClendon could be a good pick for him. Because
Except
looking
you
at the
can't agree with me because the Packers took Turner McClendon in your draft 6 picks ago.
mm, well, I guess I agree with the position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think at this point that Quadir Sanford probably is going to be the best lineman D lineman available. Because the D line class isn't very deep.
Nope.
Um, so that's probably where he's gonna go.
Quadir Sanford, another name I cannot say.
Exactly.
On to the Eagles, and they pick for a third time in this draft. To recap, I have them taking Logan Kenny, the quarterback, at number 10 or number 9. I'm sorry. Out of USC, you have them taking Case Roseman, the quarterback out of Oklahoma, at number 9. And when they come back to 18, I had them taking Anthony Finley, the middle linebacker out of Nebraska. You had them taking Donald Chisholm, the corner out of Pitt. So here we are. According to the one-man mock draft from Rich, Taylor Hunter is way off of both of our boards, so that's not happening. And Ian has him taking Kona Jackson, the quarterback, but we've already had him take a quarterback, so neither of us is obviously going to have him take another one in the first round. So
Mm.
that leaves a lot of open spot, I guess you could say. And at this point, the way I'm kind of looking at it is he needs secondary help, and it's going to come in the form of Jalen Falk out of Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I'm gonna go Falk as well. Um, and I think I had him taking a corner earlier, didn't I?
Yes, you did, but he's only got 2 corners on his roster, like we talked about earlier. So,
Exactly. And one of them is an 85 speed Lamarcus Perry. Don't foresee him being either a number two or a nickel anytime soon. So I think what he's going to do is he's going to draft his number two starter and his nickel corner in this first round, just because I don't think he has any other choice.
well, not if you're going to be trying to get corners through the draft, and there
No,
ain't much
no.
in terms of free agency either. And Don't you damn, and everybody stay away from Darrell Revis. I'm telling you this now. He's mine.
There you go.
And if I get greedy, I'll take Sean Smith too. um, even though Blueprint seems to be doing a good job of that. Um, and the next pick are the 20 some odd pick. 25 would be
With the Ravens.
Ravens, which is not the Ravens pick anymore. This is Steelers pick.
Ooh.
This is the second pick for the Steelers.
All right, let me pull him back up. So, who did we have the Steelers taking earlier?
The Steelers took. I had him taking Dwayne Pruitt, the wide receiver out of Miami. You had him taking Jerron Jordan, the corner out of Alabama.
Huh. Well, I think based upon what I had, if he goes corner here, I think his secondary is solidified. He could use some work for his. Well, no, actually his linebacking core I think is pretty set.
Yeah.
He could use a defensive end at this point. Um, I mean, Connor Barwin, he's got playing at right end, but he's 31. You know, he runs a hybrid, so Barwin really is only good in those four-man line sets or that outside rusher in a 3-4. You can't ask him to really drop into any coverage whatsoever. So I think from a need standpoint,
Didn't he let Connor Barwin go?
he might have.
No, that was Brian Cushing. I'm sorry. I get those old Texan linebackers confused. Cushing, Barwin, Merciless. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm taking Joshua Pendleton. And I think that's the way he has to go. I think, like you said earlier, he may even have to keep to leave at some point. So Pendleton is definitely a raw product, but he runs a 4.43, and for a corner, he's pretty strong.
Yeah, I think just by looking at the roster, you know,
City, which is 20 minutes from my house. My buddies went, unless they left town to go to FSU.
There you go. Man, I mean, it's at this point he can almost just draft the best available. I'm gonna go Javonte Lawson, the right end, just because he doesn't have much depth when it comes to the defensive line. You know, he's got Demetrius Cole and Stephen Tuitt, who really his own.
A good player.
Yeah, I mean his only run stuffer is Cameron Hayward, and he's already 29. So I think at this point, I think he goes with a big guy up front.
I'm be honest with you, 32 reps really bothers me for a 34 end.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's you got to fill a need at that point.
Yep.
So the Steelers are now off the board. So now comes the fun part. The Chicago Bears are up. I wonder if he purposely misleads people. You'll never know.
I'm not going to tip my hand at all when it comes to this.
I don't expect you to, so I'll pick for both of us.
All right.
No, I would. If I was on the board, I would let you pick at 13 because I wasn't going to tip my hand either. And these guys that are putting picks in there for them, they're probably not tipping their hands either.
No, not at all.
You know, Jalen Falk, the corner, is what the one-man opinion mock draft has you going as Jalen Falk's way the hell off the board. And and Ian has you going Lamar Ewing tight end. I really don't see that happening. You are probably biggest need would be linebacker. So I very, very easily see you going Troy Howard, the outside linebacker out of Michigan State. Or
Okay.
Tory. I'm sorry, Tory. I don't know why you named the dude Tory. And he has not been picked by either of us, so he will be easy to copy and paste across. And so now you don't have to tip your hand. So here we are. Now we're up to the Saints. And I see the Saints have a pick in this draft. They've got. I think the Saints go safety here. Personally, they've got them taking Jimmy Clay in Ian's mock draft, and the Saints have themselves taking that middle linebacker that's gone half a draft ago in ours, Russell. So if I'm looking at all of the safeties out there, best safety for me is Jimmy Marmosa out of the University of Pittsburgh, so I would go there. He can jump. He's not the fastest guy in the world or the strongest guy, but he should be a pretty good zone safety, at least according to his scheme. So I go free safety. Free safety, Jimmy.
I am definitely going to agree with you on that.
Cool. So Pitt, and he's a free safety. All right. So Saints are off the board. The second of the two picks for the Green Bay Packers have now come up. So the Green Bay Packers, who did the Fudge Packers pick earlier? They picked on my side they picked corner Jerron Jordan. On your side they picked Turner McClendon, the end out of Texas. So as far as they're concerned at this point, I think you take Kyrie Parker. I think you have to replace Clayton Matthews in the trade that you made with me earlier today. So I have him taking Kyrie Parker out of Alabama.
Let's see. I don't think I have Parker off my board.
He's the first outside linebacker available.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I think he's pretty much set at every other position, but I think he's got to go and get some guys in that middle of the field there. So yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on Parker.
Yeah. I don't think you have much of a choice here. So here are the Panthers. The Panthers are a damn good team. I'm not really so sure that they have any specific needs. As much as it would be to gain depth. So the way I'm looking at it is they probably take the best available player. And on my board, that's Advin Hankerson, the defensive tackle out of UL Monroe.
Yeah, I'm looking at Ian's pick, and he has originally has Finley going there. I don't see that. You know, the Panthers are already loaded at
Rich has him going Robert McKnight, right tackle.
Yeah, I see Robert McKnight there. Man, let's see. Let me look at that team.
Even though if I'm him, I might go Josh McKay over Robert McKnight.
Let's see. I mean, yeah, he's got a. I can definitely see right tackle. I think that's definitely a position of need for him. Yeah, I'll go McKnight. I think McKnight is a good pick.
Robert McKnight. He is a right tackle out of the University of Virginia. Okay, so we are on to the Tennessee Titans. Titans have an interesting dilemma, in my opinion. I think they need defensive line help pretty badly. So I would have them taking Chris Blake, the defensive tackle out of Texas.
I think after I'm pretty sure he just made a trade with Tavon
He traded
Austin.
Pot
Oh,
Roast
not
to the
Tavon Austin.
Chiefs.
Um, who's that?
He traded Terrence Knight into the Chiefs.
Didn't he also trade T.Y. Hilton as well?
Yes, he did. He got the Honey Badger in that deal.
Yeah, I think by looking at his squad, that leaves him with three receivers. Um, I think that he's going to go out. I think he's going to get a receiver with this pick. Um, you know, I, Ian's got him taking Cole. I don't see that. I think Cole
Probably kind
doesn't really.
of.
Yeah, I don't think Cole really fits the type of player that he's looking for. I think he's probably going to end up going with Ronquise Evans.
Ronquise Evans. Another name I can't say. They're good at this. Okay. The Seattle Seahawks are on the board, and how they picked late in the first round, I have no idea.
This is
But
actually my pick, my original pick.
oh, this is the Sherman deal. Okay, this
Yep.
makes sense now. One-man mock draft has them taking Finley, which is clearly off the board. Um, Ian's mock draft has them taking Kevin Kerr. I'm not going to draft the running back first round. Um, Blueprint has a pretty talented team. I think he takes the best available player. Um, I think that player for him is probably Taylor Manuel, who's an outside linebacker.
See, I'm gonna kind of agree with what some of the mock guys have. Obviously we both have Finley off of our board, and I think that his next position of need is running back. I do think he goes running back. I don't agree with Ian on who that running back is, because at this point I don't have this guy gone, but I think it's going to be Antoine Green. Um, I think the sheer mix of speed and size is going to be perfect for the type of offense that he runs.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick out of Florida. So we come back down, and the 32nd pick in the draft belongs to the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, they have an interesting position that they're in right now. Somehow they ended up with the Broncos first rounder. Who knows how that happened? But anyway, the Cardinals could do a number of different things, but I see them taking Dexter Moss, the running back out of Wisconsin. And don't let Monte Ball scare you off.
I can see that. I can see that.
I think he's one of
You
those
know,
guys that makes the lack of a better way of saying a tweener back, a back that's not a speed back that can truck, but is like not really elite in any one category, but is just an all around good back.
yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. I think that's probably where he goes.
So we'll be guessing for the CBU. All right, well, that was the entire draft. We just went through the entire first round. I'm going to recap it for everybody one more time. Jets go with Shaquem Gordon on mine. He goes Oscar Samuels on Jason's. Lions go Oscar Samuels on mine. Shaquem Gordon on Jason's. We both agree on Kerry Parker for the Raiders, Dominic Evans for the Ravens, Zach Austin for the Rams. We differ in the fact that I think the Giants will take Max Hill, the left tackle. You think they'll reach for Taylor Hunter, the corner. The Falcons, we both have them taking middle linebacker Chris Doyle. I have the Steelers in their first pick taking Dwayne Pruitt. You have them taking, who's a wide receiver, and you have them taking Jerron Jordan, the corner out of Alabama. Eagles, I have them taking Logan Kinney out of USC. You have them taking Case Roseman. Browns, Normando Russell, both of us on the first pick. I have them taking another linebacker, Dylan Gray, on the second pick. You picking back up Pruitt. I have the Bucks reaching on Hunter at 13. You have them going defensive tackle with DeMarcus Bailey. Vikings left tackle Pete Poteet on mine. You have them going Javon Austin, the right tackle. I have the Colts going Ricky Lawson, left tackle, and you have them going LaMarcus Orr, right guard. I have the Dolphins then turning around, drafting LaMarcus Orr, and you have Davian Hankerson at UL Monroe. Hey, look, I learned how to say the name finally. Quadar Sanford, I have him going 17 to the 49ers, only for one reason only. Rayo, if you listen, he fits your scheme. Ricky Skinner, strong safety. I don't think he's going to draft that guy because he's not hybrid defense, but that's just me. That's who you have him taking. I have the Packers reaching on Jerron Jordan. You have him going Turner McClendon. Eagles come back up. I have them taking Finley to solidify their linebacking core. You have them taking Chisholm. Vikings come back up. I have them taking Bailey, and you have them taking the defensive tackle Bailey. And you have them taking Kevin Travis, the wide receiver out of Northern Iowa. Small school love.
Yep.
I have the Chargers taking tight end Philip Rowland because that's something Michael would do. I love you, Michael. Thomas, you have them taking Thomas Dansby, wide receiver out of Georgia. Lions, I have them taking Donald Chisholm and doubling down on corners. You have them taking Rayshon Dickerson out of Florida. I have the Cowboys turning around and drafting Case Roseman, the quarterback out of Oklahoma. You have them going with the middle linebacker Finley. I have the Chiefs going McClendon. You have the Chiefs going Sanford. So we just kind of disagree about who's going to draft who where. Eagles, Jalen Falk. We both agree on that's the pick at that point. Steelers, they come back around. I see them taking Joshua Pendleton because I didn't have them taking a corner the first time around. And you see them taking Javonte Lawson, focusing on the defensive side of the ball. 26. The Bears, Jason did not speak on this, so I picked Troy Howard, the left outside linebacker for Michigan State for both of us. Saints, we both agreed on Jimmy Mormosa, the safety from Pitt, that's their biggest need. They'll probably part ways with Jarius Byrd at some point, whether it's this year or next year. It's an inevitability. I have the Packers taking Kyrie Parker as well as you do, the outside linebacker pass rusher, to replace the great Clay Matthews. I have the Panthers taking Davian Hankerson so that they can use him in their three-man front. You have them taking Robert McKnight, the tackle out of Virginia, right tackle, so that they can continue to run the ball off of that right side. Chris Blake, the defensive tackle I have being taken for the Titans. You have them going in an interesting direction with Ronquise Evans, the wide receiver out of Marshall. I have the Seahawks going Taylor Manuel, linebacker from Nebraska. You have them going halfback, Antoine Green, halfback out of Florida. And we both have the Cardinals taking Dexter Moss, the halfback, at 32. So that is a recap of our mock draft. So that mock draft was fun. I was pleasantly surprised. We ended up with some pretty different stuff. It would be really interesting to see how this draft shakes out. Having looked at it the way that we have now. Now, obviously, we don't have all the information. We're making our best guess. Jason's not going to tip his hands. Rich and Ian are only going to tip their hands so much as well. I get to be the fun one because I don't really have a horse in this race.
Yep.
So, it was a fun mock draft, man. I think that's a perfect stopping point for us. On this GFL Offseason 3 podcast. I'd like to get together again and kind of do a post-free agency, deal at some point, within the next week when we get there and we have the time, maybe a season preview or, a little bit into the season. And, I'll set that up with you. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and we are signing off on GFL Offseason 3 podcast, GFL Talk Radio. Dangling.